Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Red. It is Saturday, the 30th of November. How the hell are we pretty much at the end of November and starting December, people? And we start December with a bang, don't we, at the same time? We start December with Manchester City rolling into town, don't we? And 4 o'clock tomorrow, everything's going to go off. Everyone in the ground will be pumped. Fans around the world will be pumped. Everyone watching, all eyes will be on this. There will hopefully, and I know there will be, just an absolute wall of sound that greets Pep and Manchester City tomorrow. Every cross, every tackle, every shot will be cheered. Things will be booed. And we absolutely cannot wait for this one. I've never done a pod before where I'm almost salivating as I'm talking. This is absolutely insane. And here to join me to share the excitement, share a bit of the nerves maybe ahead, talk about everything Liverpool on and off the field, on his way to enemy territory to watch West Ham versus Arsenal. Grizz, how are we on this Saturday morning?
Sorry about that, a few technical issues, but that's part and parcel of life, I guess, in the modern day and age. Technical issues. We're okay. We're okay. We're doing okay. Our nerves are handled for now. But yeah, as you said, I'm on my way to West Ham versus Arsenal, eyeing up the enemy, so to speak, doing a bit of work around there. Not expecting much, to be honest with you. I know every weekend we've kind of had a feeling of favours from elsewhere. Today's I don't get that feeling, Dave. I don't know about you. No. I just don't get that vibes. For the last couple of weeks I have been getting it. I don't expect any favours, but we have got enough on our own plate to be worrying about others this weekend, because we have the monumental showdown, which is Man City at Anfield. So yeah, I think it's one of those weekends where we just got to focus on ourselves.
Yeah, we take care of business and everything else will be sound. Simple as that. I mean, taking care of business, we talked a little about Arsenal there, but the eyes of the football world are going to be on Anfield 4 o'clock Sunday. Genuinely, right this minute, how are you feeling about it?
It's so weird. Like, this slot has got me feeling so relaxed and calm about the most stressful and normally most nerve-wracking fixtures. So do you remember we spoke before Arsenal? I said, I don't know what it is, Dave. He's got me feeling so calm and relaxed. Yeah. And yeah, we ended up getting a result, even though we went behind twice. Against Real Madrid, I was normally Real Madrid and Arsenal away are absolutely nerve-wracking fixtures for us. But I was calm and I was relaxed. Man City, with the chance of going 11 points clear, should be nail-biting, toilet breaks and all of that. Yeah. But it's not. You asked my opinion, and right now I'm feeling very relaxed about it. It may change tomorrow come 4 p.m., but at the moment, I'm calm, I'm okay, and I'm looking forward to seeing another game that is managed by this, so far, amazing coach.
It is weird. There's almost a bit like you is, should we be feeling this calm? Is this just completely wrong? Because this is the juggernaut of Manchester City. We know what they bring. We'll see what the court case brings at the same time, which is a separate discussion. But everything that's happening. But we look at their form recently. I might be wrong. I think that's what's giving people a lot of hope. And actually, I did want to play you a clip, Grizz, that we did last night on Stat Me Up for Anfield Index. So me and Bart's did a deep dive into City's figures. And there's just a little clip. It's only about a minute and a half. I just wanted to play you just to get your thoughts on this. So let me tee this one up for you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you're right to say that City have been on the ropes since about Fulham because they've been conceding a high amount of XG and big chances. I think Fulham may concede something like 6 big chances, which was absolutely ridiculous. I'm just trying to find it here, actually. There you go, Fulham. They won the game, but they conceded 2.6 XG, and that's at home. That's an incredibly high amount. We go down to, I don't know whether they got big chances on the main bit. I'm going to work it out myself. I have to do it. But so 2.6 XG at home. And then if you look at the latter games, they haven't managed to keep that level down. So their ability to not concede high volume XG and high volume big chances has been a concern for anybody who's City, obviously. Now you give us 2 XG to score, and the associated threat that we will create with that, I back us to score 2 goals. I really do. Yeah. If you look at the Real Madrid game we just had, and that's Real Madrid, who are in better form than City. So Real Madrid gave us 2.7 XG, which includes a penalty. So you're down to about 1 point somewhere else, below 2 XG, basically, without a penalty. And we scored 2 goals.
I mean, great. High XG, City giving up, high volume, big chances. You've seen the results recently. I mean, 3-0 up against Feyenoord, and that was amazing, wasn't it? 3-3. And greatest respect to Honest Lot's former side. They're not kingpins of Europe's by any more at all. Is it too strong to say we should be expecting goals for us tomorrow?
It's not. It's not. We have to call a spade a spade. Sometimes we have to sort of believe and believe the numbers that are being shown up in front of us. You know, the numbers, as you have suggested in that show, have and it's not even just the numbers. It's the eye test plus the stats behind the eye test. So combination suggests that, and I was speaking to a few Man City guys this week, and they were saying we're giving chances, even though the games they've won, last minute goals, chances given up, other teams having one-on-one against keeper, is just unheard of. It's just not Man City. Man City were known to be, in the previous God knows how many years, in terms of not giving any team any transitions or any clear-cut chances. They kill you with possession. They've been able to, the ability to keep possession for 70% of the game was the norm for them.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just not the norm. And again, it's just this factor of this massive, huge, influential figure that is missing from their midfield. And it's coming to the fore now how one-man team they are. I mean, nobody likes admitting that. No coach likes admitting that. No fan base likes admitting that. But they are very close to being Rodri FC, Dave. And this season is proving so. Look, I'm confident without being sort of foregone conclusion levels, boastful levels. But there has to be an element of confidence. We have just played 16 games, I think, this season now already in totality, 16, 17 games. One defeat in 16, 17 games suggests that we are in good form, and their form is atrocious. As you said, Feyenoord are not remotely in, I'd say they're probably in like first category, second category. They're probably in the third category of elite teams in Europe. And to be 3-0 up in a Champions League game, Dave, it's unheard of for a team of caliber of City and a coach of Pep standards to lose that 3-goal lead. It shows the lack of confidence and structure throughout the team. If they concede one, they're very, very likely to panic, Dave. And this is why it's imperative tomorrow that we score early.
Yeah, press them really from the off and just try and destroy those legs. And Ali A's asked a question that I was thinking there. He says, Grizz, will Pep low block it? Because if he comes to Anfield with the same thing he's doing at the moment, he will get battered. I mean, I'm intrigued by this, Grizz. Does Pep even have it in his psyche to low block, sit behind the ball and soak up the pressure that way, do you think?
I'm intrigued, Dave. All week I've been contemplating this, and all week I've been thinking what you just said, like he doesn't do that. But I think it will be insanity of the highest level and order if he doesn't. Because if he comes to Anfield and tries to sort of match us for for like sort of stride for stride, and let's see, play his normal game, which is a very high line, which is very trying to get many people in the box as possible, keeping possession, and playing out from the back, using Edison as a keeper sweeper, and all of that will play into our hands, Dave. And I can't see him being that naive. I get it. He's an absolute elite coach, one of the all-time greats. For me, one of the greatest coaches of all time. But he has to show something different tomorrow. They can't just continue the trend that they've shown, or the form that they've shown, or the formation that they've shown. I've been adamant in my head and in my mind, he will come up with something different. And actually, Slot kind of alluded to it in his press conference. He said, I wouldn't be surprised if Pep comes out with something, because when it comes to innovation, he's probably one of the best at it and implementing it in a short space of time. So for me, Dave, I think he comes with a different plan tomorrow, completely different. Do you remember a couple of seasons ago when they came and played for a 0-0 draw, and they actually played for a 0-0 draw, and they got it because we weren't able to break them down. In fact, they missed a penalty and probably should have won the game, but they played a total different way than they usually do. So I'm expecting something of the similar ilk.
It will be interesting. Ali A said, wondering there if it's stubborn. We are going to have to wait till 4:00 tomorrow to find out what Pep Guardiola serves up. But that's enough, a little bit about Manchester City at the moment, because it is about us, and players have been talking, the manager's been talking. So a couple of things I wanted to run by you, Grizz, the latest stories that are coming out this morning even. So Cody Gakpo for this one, talking, he always talks well, he's a great communicator, Cody Gakpo, talking about the game tomorrow. He says, it's a massive opportunity, I think, against a very good team, one of the best teams in Europe, who actually have been dominating a lot of games in recent years. Spot on. But this is a massive chance for us to show them what we're made of and what we are planning to do. And then a little bit further on, he goes to say, obviously, we are in a good position at the top. You can't deny that. But I think it's still early in the season, so we are not really looking at the table just yet. I know that's the right thing to say, Grizz. That's the textbook answer. Straight back down the ground, as in game at a time. We're not looking at the table. It is lies, though, isn't it? Let's be honest. We're all looking at that table.
Dave, if come 6 p.m. or around that time and we're 11 points clear, are you taking your eye off the table? I'm not. I'm going to be staring at that table in disbelief, no. In absolute ecstasy and positivity and a beaming smile, yes. To be 11 points clear at the start of December or at the end of November, ahead of the main challenges that you'd say at the start of the season is Manchester City, would be a sensational place to be. I'm not counting my chickens yet, but if we are, Dave, I am confident in saying that for me, that would rule out City of the title picture. And that's a huge, huge statement to be making by December. But I just don't think they're capable. That would, by my estimation, leave either us or as Arsenal as the Premier League winners for this season. And then it gets really, really tense, Dave, because like me and you were speaking just off air, just before we went live, if we can sort of navigate our way through December and come unscathed and have this similar type lead at the end of December as well, Dave, then it's really time to get off the fence and possibly start getting that parade ready, Dave. Because if we can get to January with a 10-point lead, let's just say, I'm not going to be as calm, and I don't think you will be as well in these shows and everything. I think we will be very, very nervous, but it will be positive nervousness. And I'll say bring it on. I'll say bring it on.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Ali said if that does happen, it would be between us and Arsenal. And if this has happened, like you said, by the end of December, it's hard to argue. But One man who is a lot calmer than us at the moment, Arne Slot, the tactical genius himself. And all the embargoes are full, naturally, of his comments. There's just a couple I wanted to sort of pick out for you here, Grizz. He is quite praising of Pep Guardiola a lot. As he says there, he is the one who invented, maybe not invented, maybe it was done 100 years ago, or came up with the idea of inverted fullbacks and then thought, right, now I'm going to push my centre-backs like John Stones into midfield. And he really does talk about, here, you always see new things or inventions with him. They have a very clear and good and clear playing style. And he did talk that he would do extra analysis on Pep Guardiola and City. Again, as much as we'll be aware of the threat, and I know he says that, and he's obviously got great respect. It seems that Pep is one of his heroes, no doubt about it. Arne Slot will just predominantly be focused with our lineup and our setup, won't he?
Yeah, but I do like the mixture that he brings, sort of in terms of concentrating on his own team and his own playing style, his own philosophy, but also take into consideration how the other team is constantly adapting to us. So we know we're Liverpool Football Club, and every time we play another team, the other team in opposition will have done so much analysis on us. And I love the way he respects and appreciates that, and is therefore willing to adapt literally in-game management, wise.
Yeah.
Like, he's not stubborn in saying, okay, we'll start off with playing inverted. Our left back will be inverted. Our right back will be sort of playing as an orthodox winger, orthodox fullback. And that's the way we're going to stay. If, for example, they've doubled up on that side and they know that we're going to play that, he has a plan A, a plan B, and plan C. And it's been so apparent and it's refreshing. Again, this is not a dig at the previous regime or the tactics, whatever, because, we don't need to have digs. We're not like that. But it's something different and it's something refreshing and it's something new. And it just means that we don't go stale, or we haven't gone stale. And this is why I think it's been a positive way, because we haven't gone stale. So many thought that we're gonna go stale, or we're gonna have to start from scratch. We haven't done either. We haven't gone stale and we haven't started from scratch. And it's because of this man. And long may it continue, Dave. Long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been genuinely sensational. And people are twigging onto it. The second half changes that he's making, he's analysing the game, he's adapting us accordingly, and it is going so well. So, yeah, sure, in the future, let's hope he's spoken about in the same way. One head coach that is doing a lot of talking, Grizz, is this man, Mr. Mikel Arteta. So that was the focus of his press conference yesterday. You could say maybe giving his wise words, that's one phrase for it, to Arne Slot about how to deal with a lead in the title race. That experienced winner, Mikel Arteta, saying, well, yes, we've been there. To sustain it for 10 months is extremely difficult. Everything has to go your way. Sadly, when you think you have it, I love this quote, one day, plop, it collapses. And it can be through a result, it can be through injuries, it can be through any kind of decisions. And it can happen in any moment, and we have to be ready for that. Mikel Arteta giving Arne Slot advice on how to deal with the title run-in. Grizz, I don't even know where to start with this one, to be honest.
Do you know, I've been bemused at the delusion of that fan base for the last few weeks, and I often wonder where it comes from and where it's coming from. Where's this sort of where are these takes coming from? How is it influenced? What is it influenced by? Is it social media? Is it their past record, sort of when they were under Wenger? Maybe that superiority complex is still from that era, the Invincibles many moons ago. Is it from there? I kind of think it's a lot to do with their coach, and today is kind of proven it in terms of the comments he's been making. Like, imagine having the audacity or the nerve to speak to a team that has reached 92 points, 97, 99 points in just the last 6 seasons. Yeah. Imagine advising a team or giving advice to a team that's actually pipped a Pep juggernaut. Like, we've actually won the Premier League. We've actually won the Champions League. We've actually won every trophy there is to win in the last 7 years. And I just found it funny. I mean, wouldn't it have been served better to say, listen, I'm no one to give advice here. I haven't done, like, as in the famous or infamous words as they've seemed since of Haaland, stay humble.
Yeah.
Like if he's asked that question by a journalist, which he may have, so the excuse or the response that we always get is, well, he was asked a question and he gave an honest answer. Yeah. Well, how about giving an honest answer and saying, hey, smile about it. It would have looked so good it would have looked so good on him. Smile about it and say, hey, I'm not the person to ask about title races and getting over the line, right? That would have been the more logical, the most humble, better answer. Instead, he's giving advice and saying, well, we've been there. My God, you haven't been there. You haven't been there, my friend. You haven't been in the trenches long enough to be giving out advice. But look, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Banter and joking aside, I actually think that they are our rivals this season, especially if, and it's a massive if, I know the confidence is there within the fan base, but if we beat Man City, I genuinely think they are our rivals for the title this season, Dave.
Yeah, some great comments flying in there as well, saying if we want advice about Lego, that's the one. Year 5 Arteta is feeling it, and Arsenal fans, which do seem to be jarring. That's the right comment, Ali, at the moment, aren't they? But we'll see how this plays out. And talking about a few things, the only downside, this is the real one to talk about, Grizz, the Konate injury. I almost feel sad saying this just because of how brilliant Ibu has been recently. And obviously there was social media talk galore. I know people were involving you in all sorts as well. 5 to 6 weeks. This is strange to say, but I think it is right. An injury of that nature, it could have been worse, couldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Look, look, social media is what it is. Social media. I was told that he's avoided major injury, and that was the initial feeling that he's avoided major injury. I didn't know of any time scale per se, and I didn't give any injury per se, but I was told he's avoided major injury. Now, obviously since then the scans have been done or whatever, and he's still being assessed, by the way. There's still not been any official time scale given, even on his personal social media posts. I think from what I'm hearing, it's 4 to 6 weeks. Now, a guy of his size and a knee injury, and how it looked where he was in a lot of pain at the end of the game. He was getting treatment for a good 5-10 minutes after the final whistle, and he could barely walk off. There was a lot of talk on the timeline about months as opposed to weeks. Everyone was fearing the worst, and it could have been much worse. David Lynch, who I know you speak to on a weekly basis, a very respectful journalist, said the similar thing. When it comes to knee injuries, and people that have had history of knee injuries, and a big bloke like Konate, it could have been far, far worse. Yes, the fact that it comes in the most busiest time of the season is just so unlucky, Dave. It's an absolute huge, massive blow, because like we spoke about last week, how good, I think we kind of jinxed it, Dave. This is why I hate talking about it. We were talking about sort of how brilliant he's been and the injury and how he's taken on board the advice. This was another freak injury, which makes it even worse. Literally the last action of the game, again, very much like the Jota scenario. But look, 4 to 6 weeks. I done a show a couple of nights ago where I said there's no chance he makes it for Man City, but from what I'm being told is he's avoided major injury. Now, what do you class as a major injury? 4 to 6 weeks. It's come at a bad time, because it will mean he misses 4 or 5 very important games. But long term, if it means we get a fully fit and something positive out of a negative in terms of a refreshed and rested Konate for the remainder of the run-in, we take it right now, Dave. It's a blessing. I know it's the worst time, but in that there's a Southampton League Cup game, there's a Girona Champions League game, which in my opinion he wouldn't have played or he shouldn't play. And then you've got a home game against Fulham as well, take into consideration, where realistically we wouldn't be relying on Ibu Konate to be having a masterclass. So that's 3 games out of the 6-7 that he's supposed to be missing. So I'm trying to make a positive out of a negative, but obviously not everyone will see it like that. It is what it is. But you know, I'm sure we're going to go on to speaking about possible deputies. But for him and for us, it is a massive, massive blow.
Yeah, indeed. And speaking of deputies, we have to pray they step up, as Ali and a few others say in there. Gomez will step up. Are you expecting it to be Gomez? Because he was the one that came on against Brighton, wasn't he, when Ibu was holding his arm, and did a great job against Brighton, and Danny Welbeck really key for us in the second half. He's got that experience. Are you expecting it to be Kwanzaa tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm absolutely expecting Joe Gomez, especially with the experience and the understanding and the relationship that he's already had and got with Virgil van Dijk. I think Slot will be keen to sort of re-establish that partnership. And it's a throwback. If Alisson is returning possibly in the next week or so, we don't know if he's back for tomorrow for sure. Let's assume he's not. But in terms of the rest of the back four, Mr. Dave Davis, this is a throwback to the legendary back four, which is Trent, Gomez, Virgil, and Robertson. You know, let's have one last hurrah. Hopefully not one last hurrah, but let's bring back the muscle memory and the tactical memory and the performance memory of seasons gone by. Because look, Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk at their best were probably the best centre-back pairing we've had in our illustrious career, illustrious history, some would say. So let's hope that we can revitalize that Joe Gomez, eh?
Yeah, no doubt. As Numeruno says there, we forget he was partnered with VVD when we beat City. We did keep a clean deal in that time as well. He will step up, I believe, strongly. And yeah, there is a lot of faith in Joe Gomez for so many reasons. Fingers crossed.
He'll be. Look, I know scripts and football and all that very rarely actually come to fruition. But imagine, Dave, like sort of Joe Gomez, virtually most reliable journalists suggesting that he's out of the door. You know, like he's being allowed to speak to other clubs.
Yeah.
You know, if a suitable offer comes for him and the club, then he will be let go. But he stays. He vows to fight for his place. He starts off the season, I think it's fair to say, 4th choice, Dave. And now he could be the most, I don't know, how do you want to describe it? The most important squad player to come into the team at the most important time of the season. And how beautiful would it be if Joe Gomez enables us to win the Premier League in a season where most thought he was gone after all the injuries and all the setbacks. For me, it would be an absolute beautiful story. But as I said, I wish all beautiful stories came to fruition in the world of football.
Yeah, we will have to see how this story plays out. And the other one I wanted to ask you, you waited till I was off. You dropped the news with Nina, didn't you? So suggesting or hoping there's good news on contracts in the near future. Is that still what you're hearing, Grizz? Are we hoping still? Because, I mean, let's be honest. We are December tomorrow. From the January, they can sign pre-contract agreements with overseas clubs. You know, the time is seriously ticking on this. I know FSG were in town as well. Are you hoping for good news or hearing about good news in the near future?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything since, but I'm still confident in the news that I got that, you know, around the City game, in and around the City game, and I'm hoping next week. But you're right. I'm like everyone else. The more it stays, the more we don't hear anything, the more nervous we become, and it's absolutely natural. It's absolutely natural because we know what can happen legally in January, right? And this is it. What can happen without getting permission? So all these stories that we're hearing of, sort of Real Madrid letting Liverpool know, they don't need to let anyone know. If they want to speak to Trent, all they got to do is wait 4 weeks of non-announcements with Liverpool, and then they can actively pursue Trent. Same with Mohamed Salah, and same with Virgil van Dijk. Now, I think it's fair to say, based on everything that we hear, read, and possibly know, that Virgil is ready, I think, to be announced very soon. And I think Mohamed Salah gets done personally. Now, obviously, the Trent one is the big one. In terms of, I think Salah is I don't know how you look at it. I think Salah's the one that we're sort of bemused with, because Salah's coming out and saying he wants to stay. So I'd say Salah's the one that we're bemused with, but we know that all parties want a positive outcome. So we remain hopeful, and we expect that to be resolved. The Trent one is the mystery one. And the reason for that is the silence surrounding it. There is silence from the players' camp, from the player himself, and from the ownership, and from our sporting director. And this is what gives it the mystery. The only thing we're hearing about Trent is the Spanish media. And the more you hear the Spanish media, the more panicky the fan base gets, because there's nothing coming out from our side. There's nothing coming out from Trent, as opposed to Virgil and Mohamed saying, we want to stay, we want to stay. This is where the mystery comes from. But look, as I said, I'm still hopeful that they are resolved. And I'm just having a positive outlook and thoughts on the boost it will give to us, sort of, if they are all sorted and given extensions, the boost that will give us in the final run-in. I don't personally, Dave, I don't think any signing could top all 3 contracts being signed, sealed, and delivered.
Yeah, Mr. War says there, all 3 signed, and I hope, Mr. War, you are completely correct on that. The boost would just be monumental. Exactly like you said as well, Grizz. VVD, there's almost a feeling like we're waiting. We've almost mentally ticked 1 out of 3. Salah, we are thinking like Richard, Julian, Matt, whoever's, signing checks or in charge there. The man says he wants to stay. Let's bang our heads together and get that done, a compromise on both sides. Trent, exactly like you said, the silence is pretty deafening at the moment, and all the sort of noise, the background noise, is coming from Spain. And actually, as you said, in 4 weeks, they don't really have to be that quiet anymore, can they? They're doing nothing wrong. Whether you think it's wrong, it's legal, it's moral, that's a different thing. They are entitled to go full steam ahead in 4 weeks. So hopefully by then we have some news. But you mentioned this before. City, we hope we win that. We hope we're 11 points clear, touch wood. This schedule in December, and before we even get on to later December, just this week, Newcastle away, 7:30 on Wednesday. The derby at Goodison, the early kickoff on Saturday. We're not underselling this. This is a massive, massive week, isn't it?
There's no other way of describing it, mate. There's no other way of dressing it up. There's no need for us to dress it up in any way, shape, or form, apart from saying, in my opinion, it's a season-defining run. We were told that the next 9 games, do you remember there was a caption from Sky?
Yeah.
Right? We spoke about it in terms of, how will Liverpool fare in these 9 fixtures? My God, Dave, I believe we've won 5 out of those 9 fixtures, and we have the 4 remaining. I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was leading up to the end of Newcastle. The Merseyside derby, ending with the Merseyside derby. Dave, all of that, one game at a time, what we've just spoken about, press conference settings, generic answers, all of that. But we can't help being everyday fans, normal everyday fans. We can't help but feeling the excitement and the nervousness and the whole positive energy if we come unscathed. Like, again, I'll put it to you, and I know you said it off to me, but if we were offered 7 points out of those 3 next fixtures, I would take your hand off. I would snap your hand off. I would bite your hand off. I would chop your hand off. I would do anything for those 7 points, Dave, if you offered me out of 9. Now, some would say, no, we need to go for 9. Of course, we need to go for 9. But we know Merseyside derbies, despite them being in the absolute mud season upon season, they somehow make it their cup final, especially at Goodison. I mean, we get the better of at Anfield, but at Goodison, it's just a total different animal. I know we've got a very good record at St. James Park, but, we know that they're a very, very different animal under the lights at their own ground. They've been having a bit of a mixture of a season, but they've got world-class players, in my opinion, like Isaac and Gordon. It's not going to be easy, but let's get Man City out of the way, as we said, with a with a positive outcome and a result. And then if we come unscathed out of those 2 fixtures, give me 4 points out of those 2. I don't care which way round. We will be in the best position we've been in since the 1920 season. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. I wouldn't even hide it. I would absolutely do a deal with the devil now to get 7 points out of 9. And it's interesting the way people look at it as well. Numero Uno saying there, it's the last derby at Goodison and they would want to prove a point. We just need to take the emotion out of it and play the game, because they did batter us, in all honesty, last season.
Oh, it was awful. It was awful. It was the worst, the most embarrassing derby for me in the last decade, minimum. It was awful. It was boys against men. And a lot of those players will still be playing. A lot of those players are still here. In fact, all of them are still here. And all of them will probably be playing again. So it's they will hopefully be very, very, very fresh in their memory, because it was embarrassing, Dave. Let's not beat around the bush. It was boys against men, and it really shouldn't have been at the most crucial part of the season. But I do like that comment that you brought up the other just a few seconds ago, because it spoke about taking the emotion out of it. And this is where I think this manager so far has been elite in taking the emotion out of the encounter or the occasion. Let's see how he fares tomorrow, and then let's see how he fares against Newcastle and Everton, which will be both high octane, very emotional encounters.
Yeah, as Ali A said there, we lost every duel last time. Slot wouldn't like that. He wouldn't like that. He talks about duels all season. He will have them focused. And yeah, as you said, Newcastle as well. Let's not forget, people, Newcastle beat Arsenal, got a draw against Manchester City at St. James's. This is no easy place to go. If we could, take it away tomorrow, if we get 4 points out of those 2, that is a strong way to finish the week. No 2 ways about it. Grizz, the final question I wanted to ask, and it almost feels I'm not trying to end on a negative, but I know it's going there. Injuries. The world has suddenly realised that Liverpool do have injuries all of a sudden, despite what Sky, Carragher, Redknapp, Neville, all the others have said. People are now starting to clock onto it. It's the defence I wanted to ask you about, because Tsimikas is out. Bradley's now out with a hammy. That's on top of Konate. Is that the area of the thinking? If we get any more defensive injuries, are you starting to worry a little bit?
Yeah, look, we've spoken about the depth of our squad, and in terms of quality, and it's as good as anyone's, I'd say, in Europe, in terms of one replacement for every position. But when it comes to looking for a third replacement, there's not many clubs that can sort of go that deep. And now that we've got our replacement in Bradley and Tsimikas for Trent and Robertson. Let's just assume Trent and Robertson are the first choice. We've got amazingly able deputy in Connor Bradley, who's now out for a month. And we've got Tsimikas, who's not. His injury time out is unknown at the moment, but it's not for the next 2-3 games at least. So therefore, it does leave us light. And what it means is Joe Gomez, who we're anticipating to be deputizing for centre-back replacement, is not only centre-back option, but our fullback on either side option. Because we've sent young Beck out on loan again, and we know we've got sort of his Calvin Ramsey out on loan for the other side. And in fact, another one who played in pre-season, Stevenson, I can't remember his first name, is out on loan as well, who impressed mightily in pre-season, but he's out on loan as well. So maybe in January, if the situation persists, continues, we may have to evaluate our fullbacks that we've sent out on loan, who, by the way, are playing out of their skin on loans. And so it probably would be a great time, but I don't want to go there, Dave. I don't want to think about that and go in that direction. Hopefully we won't need to recall any of the youngsters. But right now, you're right. It's on what's the word? Tender hooks. We're on knife edge in terms of how deep we can go in terms of our squad.
Yeah. As Red Armchair Supporter says there, they'll all be back in January, which would be great. And as long as we get no more, touch wood, that would be very, very helpful. Final couple of things to call out, folks, that as normal, couple of shows out for you. 35 podcasts we've done this week for you on AI. So there's plenty of content to get stuck into. Unbelievable. One's out yesterday. We had Trev with Jan Molby as ever talking about the City game in it. We had Dave and Carl doing Scouted, the Daily Red as ever. Rhodesy's back, so we give a tactical masterclass breakdown. And if you want on the live section, you've got the stat pack that me and Bart did yesterday. Grizz, with a massive week, I'm guessing it's going to be uber busy for you at the same time as well.
Let's hope so, my friend. Let's hope so. Hopefully it's a successful and positive week on and off the pitch, Dave.
Yeah. And the next time we're speaking, easy to say, we'll have played City, we'll have played Newcastle, and we'll have played the Merseyside derby. So let's just hope the next time we're speaking, we are in the same buoyant mood as we are now. In fact, scratch that. Let's hope the next time we're speaking, we've won all of those and we're bouncing into this one. Fingers and everything crossed for it. But all it leaves me to say as ever is, Grizz, for the time, the insight, for answering all the questions, it is much appreciated, pal.
Pleasure, mate. Pleasure. Deep breath time, lads and lasses. Deep breath time.
Indeed. And on Saturday, the 30th of November, one day out from Manchester City at home, that was another Daily Red